And we are back! Yay! Ate some lunch. We're back doing things. Let's see if we're still in Discord. We are still in Discord. Yay. Where should I head to? Oh, I don't care what we do. Sure, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna run to town and drop off stuff and then head that way. Mantle of the Shark Mother. I guess I'll put this this hammer of elemental forging in the bank. I keep hearing that, was it Yellowstone is supposed to have a crazy earthquake at some point soon. Or yeah, maybe that was it. There was like a big, like a mass exodus of animals at one point a couple years ago where they all left, like, and there was like some impending doom happening or something there. And then nothing happened. It was weird. Yeah, the U.S. is going to be gone. Like, it's going to take out like 3/4 of the U.S. Is protein bowl good? It was very good. Yeah, very good burrito that I had. I'll probably be full now for the next 2 days. I'm trying to eat better and exercise more. So having a big lunch though, I can manage because then I can have a smaller dinner, and I only had a banana for breakfast, so we're gonna try to see if I can sustain through and not have a big dinner. But yeah, it was delicious. Very good. Very good. Oh, if you need to go to the pharmacy, sorry, just you can go real quick. It's whatever. Yeah, I just saw your text, so I guess I was coming upstairs when you sent it. Da, 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 da. Do, 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 do. Sorry, I'm looking at some text messages. Ooh, I just realized I have a mint. Woohoo! Little mint. There's a Mexican restaurant we go to sometimes, and they have these little mints, like a little mint bowl. And they're like the really soft, chewy mints. So good. My son brought me one up the other day and put it on my desk, and I forgot about it. Mmm. Uh-oh. I think I crashed. Yeah. I just got kicked out in Night Harbor. Fallen Pass one was really bad for me the other day. After we evac'd in Fallen Pass, I tried to log back in and I couldn't. It would actually log back in and show my character, but he was like halfway stuck in the ground. And it kept crashing me over and over and over, and the GM had to move my character. Is it actually loading the screen? Yeah, if it keeps doing that, you're gonna have to probably get a GM, because like mine loaded up my character and then it shut down the whole client, and then it would load up my character and then shut down the whole client. So I logged in a separate character and petitioned, and they moved my character. Leveling seems too fast to me. Look at how long it took to get to 60 in EQ. I agree. Yeah, I've had it crash before in Fallen Pass, and I just logged in like 3 or 4 times, and then it just let me in. But that one was like, the entire game was crashing. It wasn't just like freezing. So, yeah, in that case, you might need to get a GM to deal with it. Maybe. I don't really know, but maybe. Well, this is silly. I guess this item is too big to put in a backpack. So I guess I just got to carry it around with me everywhere I go. That's really dumb. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I didn't put in the mantle of the Shark Mother. All right, we'll do that at the West Bank. Mantle of the Shark Mother. How's your burrito? It was burrito-tastic. Now, it was very good. Very, very good. I enjoyed every bit of my burrito. It is consumed and currently digesting. And I'm very happy about it. Such an excellent day. I'm actually having a really good day today. I don't know why, but I'm in a good mood. I had good food. I need more days like this. Mama said there'd be days like this. There'd be days like this, my mama said. Speaking of mama said, I haven't seen my mom lately. She normally comes in the stream. Comes in and says hello and hangs out. I got to send her a text. See what's going on. I made you Lidar. Isar Lidar. You've never had... Wait, you've never had a burrito? Ever? Like never, ever, ever? Oh my goodness gracious. I don't even know where to tell you to go to get like the best burrito. There's so many different types. Like if you go to a Mexican restaurant, a burrito needs to be eaten with like a fork and knife because it usually has some covering on it. And like a lot of stuff in there. But if you go to like a Moe's or Chipotle or something like that, you usually eat them with your hand. It's like you hold on to them. They're kind of like wraps, like a sandwich wrap. I can't believe you've never had a burrito though. They have these things called wet burritos at the Mexican restaurant we like to go to, and I've never had one there. I want to try it. I've had a wet burrito at a different location. And it's basically a burrito that's just covered in like all these sauces, like cheese and stuff. Not a thing in Norway? What? You need to gnaw your way out of there and go somewhere with a burrito. That's one thing I do like about America, as opposed to many other countries. America has a lot of different food choices. You know, a lot of different types. You can go get hamburgers and hot dogs, which are, you know, kind of American staples. You can get Italian food, Mexican food, Japanese, Chinese, Korean, Indian food. You can get like everything. And there's some place to get it probably near you. That's one thing I absolutely love about America. America's, you know, it's got its faults. It's got its faults for sure. But the food's on point. I saw so many Europeans at Chipotle during the World Cup. Really? I saw a bunch of people trying barbecue for the first time. And I was like, this is crazy to see. They were loving it. They were loving the barbecue. You saw him in Los Angeles at Chipotle? Chipotle? My girlfriend puts a lot of emphasis on the T in Chipotle. I just say Chipotle. I don't know what's correct. So many at the In-N-Out? Dude, there was a shooting. Was that shooting in at the In-N-Out in near you by any chance? Did you hear about that? The mass shooting? That was in Idaho? Golly, man, that was crazy. Absolutely nuts. What's this world coming to, man? It's just getting worse and worse. I just stay home now. I hate people. I mean, you're not wrong. Yeah, sometimes people are okay, but unfortunately, I feel like the majority of the time, I just don't want to be around them, you know? Just don't want anything to do with it. Group Finder, LFG list. Oh, wait, I need to do, what, Shift O? Or just O? It's just O. Group Finder, LFG list by level. 49 fighter, and that's it. That's it. Too many difficult people now. Someone always gets offended. They do, yeah. They definitely get offended. bad, man. Oh, you're wearing pink shoelaces? You're supposed to, this is a blue shoelace day. I'm offended by your pink shoelaces. Like, what? The heck are you talking about? People get offended by everything. I'm offended that you're offended. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Stabbing Pains. I like that guy's name. Stabbing Pains. Yeah. Do 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 do. We'll get up here and we'll go check out the forums for a minute while we're waiting for people to show up. See if there's any new posts. New posts in the forums. Okay, let's switch over here to the forums.monstersandmemories.com. Fighter deep dive discussion, monk deep dive discussion, and cleric. Those are still getting some love. Cleric solo ability with rework. Uh-oh. Looking for comments on higher level clerics. Slow. Other clerics have said they can solo at high levels now. I think cleric popularity is going to explode because they're now one of the best solo classes. Personally, I'm not a fan. Did not make a cleric for solo, and they've reduced our effectiveness in groups with the rework. If clerics can solo effectively, now I'm going to consider rolling one. What does it look like for soloing a cleric? Just the high AC, shield, smack things. I imagine face tanking with barrier up. Yeah. This is what I'm afraid of right here. The game becoming more solo friendly. Just not good. Fishing past 265 post patch. Somebody got it to 265 fishing? Why? Why? Man, that had to be awful. And they did it in just a couple days. Somebody macroed that. I suspect somebody macroed that. There's no way somebody sat there and just kept hitting the button. I don't know. I also have to drive 1.5 hours each way if you want McDonald's? What? Give that man a medal? Yeah. I don't know if he deserves a medal if he macroed it. I disagree with that. But hey, you know, I'm glad people are testing out the different trade skill stuff. That's actually a good thing. It's a very good thing. How did they get to 300 mining? I didn't know you could get to 300 mining. I'm at like 265. I guess I can keep going mining just random stuff, but this guy got to 291 fishing. I hope that they're locking down these people that are just using bots to fish for them. I mean, I'm not saying that these people did do that, but to get to 291 and 265 fishing, my goodness. I did it for like an hour and got to like 10 or whatever it was. Oh, we're ready to go? Bum, bum, bum. Bum, 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 bum. Got a 235 in 2 days. You're just clicking the button. It's not worth it right now, but just wanted to try it. Yeah, I wanted to try it too, and I was like, this is tedious. Yeah, because it's literally just pushing a button every like 20, 30 seconds or whatever it is. It's just pushing a button. So like you could literally do it while you're working. You could just sit there and just click. Click. Watching a TV show. Click. So, like, people can absolutely do it without macroing it. But I feel like people probably just set up, like, a little fishing bot that just pushes a button every now and then. Which camp are we doing? I don't know. We're going to go up to upper salmon or lower salmon or salmon. Something with salmon. Something with salmon. Yay! Thanks, Dory. Dory and... Oh, well, we could have just followed Isar, I guess. Train. Choo-choo. It's horribly worthless right now overall. Yeah, it's pretty bad. What did I get mine to? Let me see if I can find my fishing. I leveled it up a little bit, just to try it out. Fishing. I got it up to 25. It took me to get a 25 skill before I caught one fish. I was like, I'll catch one fish and then we'll stop. And I got a 25 skill. And then I'm like, nope, I'm done. I'm done with fishing. Not doing that anymore. At least not right now. But I mean, is it really any different than, or I guess, is it really much different than mining or herbalism or anything other than you have to run to a node and pick it up? Like, it's really not that much different, you know? It's easier to level, though, because you can literally just stand in one spot and then just keep doing it until... I guess it becomes trivial at some point, and then you have to go to a higher level area or something and then fish there, and then go to a higher level area and then fish and keep doing that, but I didn't get to that point. Welcome back. Thank you so much, Muffin. Welcome back to you as well. Glad to be back. I'm feeling good today. I'm happy. I'm happy today. I'm gonna eat my gummies. I didn't eat my vitamin gummies this morning. But yeah, happy to be back. And we're gonna keep this energy going, hopefully all week. Thoughts on implosion? I don't either. I'm just going to hang out at this rock. Yep. Samwise? Samwise Gamgee, where are you? Let's see, riding questions. I'm thinking of buying a mount, but I don't know which one to get. Hang on one second. There we go. People asking questions. I'm trying to help in the forums. I'm trying, guys. We got to make those forums more active. All right, let's see. Let's do this. Put this on. And this on. Ooh, 215 strength. What? What? I'm willing to perform 2.5 backflips in exchange for a game key. This would likely severely injure me. Well, I don't want you to get injured. I might have... Let me look. I might have a key that we're going to try to give away maybe tomorrow. Yeah, somebody did send me a community key that I might try to do a giveaway for tomorrow. Maybe. 3 whole backflips. Don't hurt yourself. But yeah, we might do one tomorrow at the start of the stream. Maybe. I'll have to see if I can set it up. We've been doing it. We've done it before, and I had Burl do it. He kind of set it up for me and did all the stuff, and it was much easier doing it that way. So we'll see. We will see. I keep hearing that streamers are getting keys or getting access to give away, but they have not given me any access to give away. So, been working? How dare you? How dare you work, sir? Do you just want a new link? We could do it maybe tomorrow. I do have one to give away right now. I could try to contact the devs and message them and see what they say. Apparently, according to Twitch chat, devs have been giving streamers access to give away on their streams, but no dev has done that for me yet. So kindly advise me as to when the stream will start, and I will try to attend. I start my stream around 9 a.m. Eastern. If you click that notification, it will notify you. But around 9 a.m. Eastern is when I do when I start my streams. And previously, when we've given them away, it was around 10 a.m. or so that we've given them away. It's all based on when Burl can be here, and Burl's here right now. So, yeah, Burl, when do you want to do it? It's so much easier when somebody else does it, and I don't have to set that up. I'm just a pretty face. That's all I am. Just a pretty face in the bottom corner of your screen that just talks about a bunch of nonsense. That's all I do. That's debatable? I don't know. I don't know. Run 10 a.m. tomorrow. We can link set up now. Sure. That's fine with me. I'll be on 10 a.m. tomorrow. Yeah. Unless I throw my back out trying to throw trash away. I have to throw trash away. We've got like a mattress and box spring or something in my garage that I got to take out to the trash tomorrow. Hopefully it doesn't kill me. By the way, Burl, I do have that jewelry for you. Even though it was nerfed, but I do have jewelry for you. And Isar got you a lantern that doesn't turn on, but it gives you 5 health regen. So, you know, cool stuff for you. Fancy. Yeah, apparently the lanterns are now bugged. For some reason, they did something and bugged the lanterns. Who the heck knows why? I sure don't. Bum, 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 bum. All set up? You can update your command? Alright, let me see if I can do that. Copy, 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 copy. Open this. Okay. I've updated the command and I created a 10-minute timer. Every 10 minutes it should automatically post it in chat. I hope. Is blacksmithing worth the time and effort right now? Nah, not really. The only thing that blacksmithing is good for are these right here. These sharpening stones. This is going to increase your strength by 11 if you put it on a weapon. So I can get 22 extra strength from that. And then you can get even more if you put in like a throwing dagger or something in your ammo slot. You can get even more. Because I think you can put the you put that on your dagger as well. What's the trivial for the recipe? For the sharpening stones, pretty low. They used to be. I think they still are, but I honestly don't remember. Actually, no. I think they changed them. They can go pretty high now. I'm at 230 on blacksmithing, and all of them are trivial for me. Why is my... You guys can see my whole mount thing here. Let me see if I can move this over. There we go. Try to move that over some. Is that better? Or is that worse? Ah! What do you need to make it? The sharpening stones takes 4 of the equivalent stones. So the rigid, it would be rigid stones or whatever they're called. Takes 4 of those. You could do a weight stone. So that's going to go on your piercing and slashing weapons. Or you can make a weight stone, which is the equivalent for your bludgeoning weapons. And that takes 1 of the stones and 1 of the equivalent cloth. So it would be 1 rigid stone and 1 linen cloth to make a weight stone. Wiki says 230 for the highest tier. Yeah, 230 definitely is the trivial for it. I don't know if that's when it hits trivial or not, but it's something around there. It's actually the best way to level up your blacksmithing as well. What you want to do is make the sharpening stones each tier of blacksmithing. Just make as many as you can. So I'll probably level up blacksmithing in early access. But it's the making between that's a problem. Like making... So you make a bunch of sharpening stones, and then you have to make something else for a little bit, and then make more sharpening stones to level it up. It's kind of a pain in the butt. But I'll probably eventually do it. Because it's worth it. I mean, an extra 22 strength is huge. But I think they're going to change that in the future. I don't think it's going to be a strength buff anymore. But it might be. Jewel crafting's like that with the rings. Yeah, you have to like, yeah, jewel crafting is you make the mounts or setting or whatever the heck it is, and then every so often you have to like combine them all, and then you have to make the next tier and keep moving it up. They're kind of all like that. Same thing with like the tailoring. You can make like padding or something is the cheapest thing to do. So whenever you can make padding, make that, and then you start making other things. Hopefully during early access, I'm assuming what I'll end up doing is doing the same thing that I do now, which is looting most of the cloth and leather and all that kind of stuff. So I'll be able to level those up easier and just make to use the cloth to make canvas to then make bags with, and continue to do that. Same thing with the leather working. And then I'll probably just, for early access, I'll probably end up selling bags. Probably the easiest way to do it. Uh-oh, might need to reform. We all gonna recamp? Alright, I'm camping. Do do do. This sword is huge. Oh, poor Sam. Do, 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 do. Aside from giveaway tomorrow, what would be the best way to go about getting a key? Already asked on the forums and Discord. Yeah, ask on forums, Discord, and wait until Friday. And they do a giveaway for access every Friday if you've opted in on the website. So those are the only ways that you can really do it. If I can get access, like if I can talk to Sean or something and ask about that. Here, I'll send him a message right now. We'll see. All right, I sent a message to one of the devs and I asked about it to see what's going on with it. I don't know anything else about it. Seriously glad I don't have to do any backflips. Yeah, don't do any backflips. Definitely don't do any backflips. But I may or may not get any. I don't know. I have people keep telling me that devs are giving access to certain streamers and whatnot, but I don't know anything about it. I appreciate your care. No worries, no worries. I do care. I don't think anybody's gonna want that. Let me see, where'd it go? Curtail Bracer, 7 strength, 1 agility for people. Yeah, chain bracer. Assuming this counts as if I'm not able to make it. You do have to be there to win is how we usually do it. So you can sign up, you can join it, but you have to be there to win. So you can sign in now or sign up now if you want to. And we'll do the drawing at 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. One time we did it, we had like 60 people, and one time we did it, we had like 20 people sign up or enter to win. So you never know. You never know. Ranger's last deep dive from the list. I'm worried I'm not going to be able to try it before EA. I'm sure it would change a lot from what it is now. Yep. Yep. That's all I can say. Yep. I have no idea what's going on with that. There might be several classes that don't get a deep dive before early access. So there might be several. I don't know. It's a bummer for sure. I was really hoping they would have the deep dives in and in a much more playable state before early access hit, so that we could at least talk about them. I could do like some videos on it, some reviews kind of thing, all of that. I was really hoping that that would happen, and it is not looking great. Where's it going to be a least played class? It's going to be lower. Yeah, it's going to be down there at the bottom for sure. What do you think is the most important desired class for groups? Bard? No, definitely not Bard. Most important desired for groups would be Enchanter. If you're going to pick a singular class, it would be Enchanter. Because any of the healers is good, any of the tanks is good, and then several of the DPS, good. Enchanter is the only one that's not really replaceable at the moment. It's basically the only class that really, unless you have an Inquisitor in your party as your tank, you're going to want an Enchanter for a lot of different things because of their CC capabilities. So, yeah. It's completely gutted. Yeah, the Wizard class. Yeah, it's... Wizard feels bad right now for sure. It might have been arguably the worst deep dive that they did. And, I mean, I agree with you guys on it. Like, I think that some people like the Wizard, what it currently is, and they like the glyph system. But I think that it's, overall, just, it wasn't great. But we'll see what they do to change it. I think if they were to tweak the numbers and balance the Wizard a little bit better, I'm going to turn the lighting up. This is just way too dark again. If they were to tweak the balance numbers and all that, like increase its sustainability somehow, like they could just tweak a few things, a few small things, and they can make the Wizard great. But yeah, they need to do that. They had it for like 2 or 3 days where Wizard was phenomenal. It was exactly what I would have wanted out of a Wizard. It was a good rotation. It was basically do volley, then nuke, and then reclaim magic, and then volley, and then nuke, and then reclaim magic. And if you did that cycle, you did really good damage. You could sustain that damage for some time, pretty much indefinitely. And it was a really solid class for grouping. Then they put reclaim magic on like a 30-second cooldown and completely gutted it and just destroyed the class, because they didn't, when they did that, they didn't increase the nukes damage or the ratio on it, and yeah, I just felt bad at that point. So I'm right there with you, man. Right there with you. I hope that they change it because I like the wizard. I enjoyed playing my wizard and leveling it up. What, do people die somewhere? I'm playing Wizard right now, and I feel like I don't contribute enough compared to other DPS. I have to spam missile, or I'm instantly OM. Yeah, in groups. Yep. Yep. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. Yeah, you'll go out of mana. Like, that's the problem. Like, so wizards are supposed to be less sustain than a melee DPS, but more burst. But the problem is they went way too far on the less sustain side, and then not really enough on the burst side. So like, they could easily fix it by giving it more sustain. I would leave the burst where it's at and just give it more sustain. That would be my personal preference. They're still not going to do as much damage, sustained damage, as like a good melee class with good weapons. But that sustain really needs to be there. Really like Archer right now. Could you explain the double attack if you have info on it and how the class is late game? So what do you want to explain about the double attack? It basically just every once in a while it will double attack. So when you turn on your auto attack with the Archer, if you're too far away from the mob to melee it, it automatically will try to shoot an arrow. And that's gonna be based on your delay. So let me show you my arrow or my bow right here. This is my bow. And it's got a 50 delay, which means it's basically a 5-second delay. So every 5 seconds, it will try to shoot one arrow with that particular bow that I just showed you. Your double attack skill, which is this skill right here, double attack, it's going to shoot the arrow every 5 seconds, guaranteed one of them, and then it's going to say, check the double attack skill. If your double attack skill is high enough, it's like a D20 roll kind of thing. Or like, let's say, it's like a dice roll, and you have to go over a certain number or whatever. It's just a kind of a random chance, but with an increased chance based on your skill level. So if you're double attack, it'll say, do I double attack? Roll dice. If it's over a certain number, then you double attack. And you'll shoot a second arrow. And that's basically how it works. That's how double attack works for everything in the game. Every time you swing your weapon, it checks, do you have double attack? And then, does the double attack trigger or not? Got it? Cool. Perfect. Yeah. Sometimes I over-explain things. People are like, okay, I'm not an idiot. And then sometimes I under-explain things, so I wasn't sure. But yeah, that's basically how it works. It will use 2 arrows as well. So like when you attack once, it'll use 1 arrow. If you double attack, it'll use a second arrow. So it's not like you just get a free attack with no arrow cost. So you need to have a lot of arrows. I recommend every archer just carry around a quiver with tons of arrows in it. Actually, I wouldn't recommend carrying around a quiver, honestly, unless you find a quiver that's got haste on it. But even then, you're probably just better off carrying around the extra arrows, like in just a bag. Just make sure you carry big bags with you. But only on auto attacks? Yes, it only works. Yeah, double attack only works on auto attacks. Otherwise, it'll say something like when you look at the description of a skill, some skills will say it has like a chance to attack twice or something like that. Very few skills have that. I'm showing Rend because Rend used to do that, but it no longer does. But a skill at a certain level might have a chance to attack twice. But double attack does not affect any of your skills. It only affects your auto attack. How is Archer late game? Archer's good. It's a solid class. We were actually talking about it earlier. It's a good DPS class. It also has some utility with its snares. So, yeah, it's a good overall class. It just depends on what kind of damage you want to do. If you want to do like range damage that's elemental, go like wizard. If you want to do melee damage, you would probably want to go rogue. But if you want to do ranged physical damage, that's pretty much your archer. But it's a solid class, yeah. Archers and Beastmasters have the highest double attack in the game. Do they? Mine only goes up on my fighter, only goes up to 250. I don't know what theirs goes to. Is it 300? With the extensive history and data we have on standard classes, I struggle to understand where the disconnect is. For what? Hey, what's going on, Edward? How are you, bud? Do you know if the only way to break your charm as enchanter, you have to use the hide racial as a wood elf? Very important question. You can use the hide racial if you have the hide racial and you're playing a wood elf. You can also use invis. So you have an invis spell, and you can invis yourself, and that will break the charm. You already have 260 double attack? Nice. Define roles, skill set, balancing? Yeah, okay, I got you. Yeah. Yeah, they got to work on that, in my opinion. Just need more work on that, that's all. That's an enchant spell. I thought I had to re-roll as your human. No, enchanters get invis. Yeah, they get invis and invis versus undead. They get both. I want to say at like level 8. It's not very late. Whew. Man, I had to sneeze. Wood elves can't be enchanters, right? It works on bard charm though. Yeah, I don't think wood elves can be enchanters, but I wasn't sure, so that's why I didn't say anything. Not that it matters. You'll miss it. The game does wipe soon. That is true. Like a couple weeks. Game's gonna go bye-bye for like a week or two. Baby, bye. 1 month and 2 weeks, yeah, something like that. Like 6 weeks, they're gonna be taking down the servers, and then they will be down for a week or two, and then they'll be back up for early access. you think the game is ready for EA, or is it too soon? That's an opinionated thing. I feel like it's not ready. If it were my preference and the way I would want early access to start, it's not ready. But I don't think they're going to push it back because they need the money. Like, they need to start paying people. It's gotten to the point now where it's like either start paying people or the development of the game is going to slow down considerably. So, I would like the game, though, to be... Like, I want all the classes to be in. I would like balancing to be a little bit better. I'd like the economy to be a bit better. I would like trade skills to be more fleshed out and finished. I would like all of those foundations to be in the game before early access starts. And then early access to just be content. Like, just add more content throughout early access until 1.0 hits. With some, clearly, you know, some bug fixes and things like that. But I would much rather the foundation of the game be there. Completed, the foundation to be completed before early access starts. But it's not going to be that way. And that's kind of why I'm a bit skeptical on things. You know, the game is great, but people are going to start classes. They're going to start leveling up these classes, and then they're going to realize that their class is weaker than another class by a lot. And it's not even going to be like, it's not going to be close. Some classes are just way more powerful than other classes. Some classes, their abilities are broken. There's a lot of bugs with them. There's just a lot of stuff like that, which doesn't feel great if you pick one of those classes. And if you notice, you may not even notice. Like, you might pick one of the classes and play the class and just it doesn't phase you. It doesn't register that anything's broken about it. And everything's fine. But if you actually look into pretty much every class that's had a deep dive so far, there's something that doesn't work right. Like, literally something is broken, it doesn't function properly. You know, and that's going to feel bad. So, which class would you say is the safest pick in regards to not being weak like Wizard? I don't think, well, the Necromancer hasn't had its deep dive yet, but I think it's going to be an amazing soloer no matter what they do with it, just because it's not going to lose some of its abilities. I think that the Druid right now is a pretty good pick. It's not going to get weak. It's not going to become a super weak class, I don't feel like. Even if they tweak it some, which they need to, it's just not going to... It's just still going to be halfway decent. And it's a healer, so you always need healers. So yeah. There's... Any healer class, you'll be fine. Any of the tank classes, you'll probably be fine. It's the DPS classes right now that feel the worst. But they've only done one of the tanks deep dives so far. They've done 2 of the healers though, so. Necro, Beastmaster, Elementalist, Shadow Knight, you think? I would say the Beastmaster, you'd probably be fine with that one. Elementalist and Shadow Knight, we haven't seen the deep dive on those, or the Necromancer. So we don't know. Those could drastically change. They could become way better, or they could become way worse, or they could stay about the same. So really don't know. My superpower is sensing games meta. I know all the class when a class is weak. Yeah. I mean, hey. Sounds good. They're all great. You love Shaman so far. Shaman is a solid class. It hasn't had its deep dive yet, but it's a very solid class. It can solo. It's wanted in groups. It's wanted in raids. Shaman right now, I would say, is the best overall healer. The most, it's the most welcomed healer. It's kind of like the Shadow Knight of tanks. The Shadow Knight is the best all-around tank that you can use in all situations. Shaman, same thing. Best all-around healer that is used in all situations and is useful. For alchemy spell, there is some oils that require fish. Is that any fish? I don't know. Prior to the most recent patch, no fish worked. But now, I don't know. I have not tried and messed around with alchemy since the most recent patch when they added in fishing. And they supposedly added in new fishing or new recipes in alchemy that were that use fish. So I don't know. If it's got a question mark on it, like there's a lot of things that have like a little a question mark as the placeholder inside of the crafting recipe. A lot of those don't seem to work. Like there's nothing you can put in there to fit those. But it's not necessarily always the case. So I don't, unfortunately, know. If Shaman is best all-around healer, then why am I healing? Well, what I mean by that is if you're going to have one healer in your party, the Shaman is the healer you want. It's just it's the best one. If you have multiple healers in the party, then it doesn't matter who heals. I say the Shaman is the best all-around healer because it's got the buffs. It's got strength buffs or melee buffs. It's got the haste. It's got slows. It's got decent healing. It's got an AoE heal. It's got its pet for extra damage. It's just the best all-around here. Just yanking your chain. Yeah, I got you. I got you. Druid leveling is fun with charm kiting. Only problem is you make 0 money from beasts. That is true, and they're going to be changing charm in the future. So, I don't know if it's going to end up being good or bad or what, but they're going to be changing charm in the future. They have said that charm is too strong at the moment, which I absolutely agree with. Charm is way too strong at the moment. If they nerf charm, then Enchanter will just be a weak buffer and no fun. Nah, disagree. Hard disagree. Enchanter does a lot. It will still be the most popular class for every group, even if they remove charm. Like, they can completely remove charm from the game, and Enchanter will still be a wanted class in every group. You just can't solo as an Enchanter, right? Just S tier in group class. You can't with charm. You can absolutely solo as an Enchanter. Enchanter is probably the best solo class in the game right now with using charm. Charm is a foundation of how you play. Yeah, because it's overpowered. Of course, it's a foundation. If everyone is using charm and they don't, and if it's like that big of a deal to take charm away, then clearly charm is too good of a skill, right? It's kind of like Speed of the Wild. If you take away Speed of the Wild from the Druid and the Shaman, and everybody's like, oh, it's a worthless class now, then clearly there's too much emphasis on Speed of the Wild. right? The classes should be good without, like, take away one ability and the class should still be good. Doesn't matter what ability that is. So if one ability makes or breaks the class, then they need to reevaluate the class. Yeah, Charm is just, it's way too strong. I've explained it way too many times. Charm is way, way, way too strong in this game. Enchanter DPS is nothing. Enchanter's not supposed to be DPS, so that no argument. The buffs are weak compared to Shaman and Druid. No, they're not. They have the fastest haste in the game. They have the best haste buff in the game. They have the best mana regen in the game. So, how are they worse than those two classes? They have the best CC in the game. They have the most stuns in the game. They have the mana drains. They have a pet that they can pull out. They can put enchant ally on the tank. There's so many things that the enchanter can do, but don't do because charm is just so powerful that everybody just it overshadows everything else the enchanter can do. Charm is way too strong. I'm roll back from cleaning up a kid. Massive splotch of fruit juice on the floor. Oh my goodness gracious. That's never fun. Who is the best melee tank DPS right now? So best melee class, tank class, and DPS class? I think the best melee and DPS class is probably the Spellblade at the moment. They're just solid. They're very, very solid DPS. I don't like the play style of them, but as far as how good they are, they're really, really strong. Very powerful melee DPS class. As far as tank, the Shadow Knight's probably overall, like, all things considered, the Shadow Knight's the best tank in the game. That doesn't mean that they're the best tank at every situation, but they're the overall best. How does dual wield offhand strikes work? Does each weapon attack if its own swing timer, or does an offhand strike proc main hand? So yeah, it's off its own timer. So every whatever seconds. So like on my weapon here, I've got the Fester Clasp. Every 2.9 seconds, or every 29 delay, I believe is 2.9 seconds. It'll say, "Hey, I'm trying to attack." The game will be like, "I'm trying to attack," and then it'll go in here, and it'll look at your dual wield skill right here. So mine is 240, and it'll say, "Do I attack with my offhand? Yes or no?" And based on your skill level, the higher the skill level, or the higher the skill number, the more often that will trigger. And that's basically how dual wield works. I have an okay computer, but I feel this game loads too much that you don't see when you face towards Night Harbor, you get spikes. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about this game. Is there's people that complain about it all the time, saying that for the graphics in this game, it runs like doo-doo on my computer and it shouldn't, blah, 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 blah. This game might be a low fidelity, low poly count game, but it loads a lot, like you're saying. It tries to load in a lot of render distance. So it loads everything in that it can, so you can see way off in the distance. And that's why you might get some lag spikes. They have not optimized this game yet. They really need to do that at some point, but they probably won't do that anytime soon. I expect that to be closer to a 1.0 thing than anything else. Like, it's just not going to be optimized anytime soon. Oh my gosh. I love the name. That's fun. Oh my gosh. Love your gaming content. Been watching some of YouTube now. Good stuff. I appreciate it, bud. Thank you for coming in and saying so. Do you think there's a chance of another EA delay? I mean, there's always a chance, right? There's always going to be a chance. But I don't think they will do it at this point because they need to start paying people. To at least finish a class reworks, maybe a month of balance, good or bad for the game. I think ultimately it's not great for the game. I think a delay would be more detrimental to the game than releasing October 1st and still working on the classes and rebalancing. They really need to get the classes in, the foundation in, and then they need to try to balance them as quickly as possible once it's in for early access. But I think if they were to delay to do that, it would probably hurt them more than anything. Like October 1st, yeah, I don't know. Like it would be tough for sure. I don't. They can't really afford to delay much more. Mostly because of, at least this is my opinion. Mostly because they need to pay people. There are people on the team currently that need a job, right? They are recently out of a job, or maybe they've been looking for a job for a while. And they're really need to get paid. Otherwise, they're going to have to stop working on the game and start a different job. Like they're going to have to quit working on the game and go get an actual job. And if that happens, especially on the art side, that could really be detrimental to them. Could hurt a lot. I don't envy the devs. 18 classes balancing sounds like a complicated discombobulation. It really is. It really is. Like the devs have been working very hard on it. So on a positive note, they're doing a great job trying to get these classes out. They're working hard. They're trying to make them feel unique. They're doing a good job of making them feel unique. So that's the positive side of it. On the negative side of it, it's taking a lot of time. And they're not coming in functioning properly, and they're not coming in balanced. So there's some positives to it and some negatives to it. You know, I appreciate the work that they're doing so far. Absolutely, it's amazing work, and I hope they can keep it up. But again, they need to get paid to be able to do that, right? I want as many devs as we can to get paid to make this game better. I'm also kind of tired of hearing it's a volunteer team. Like, I think we get it. It's a volunteer team. It's been a volunteer team for years. Totally understand that, and you've made a fantastic game as a volunteer team. But at this point, it's an investment, and it's time to buckle down, and it's time to start getting the work done. At least in my opinion, right? If you want this to be a successful game and a successful company, then it's time to start buckling down. If you just want to keep this as a hobby and, and just kind of make it in your leisure time and just kind of whatever, then keep going the way you're going. And, when the game comes out, the game comes out. But if you want to start making money, and I think they do, I think there's certain devs that are kind of banking on this game releasing and starting to make money, and it's just like with any other company. You start a company, and you at some point you have to flip the switch from just a hobby to an actual company, and that's the transition they're currently trying to get through. What are your thoughts on having to need to equip your lumberjack, axe, sickle, mining pick? I hate it. I think it should be enough to have it in your bag. I agree. They are looking at that, so they're going to be making some sort of tool belt where your tools will go on your tool belt, but they haven't elaborated on how that's going to work. So let's say you put your tools on your tool belt. Do you just walk up to a thing and you click it, and it just automatically equips it and uses it? And then when you go back to fighting, it just automatically does that? We don't know. But they have said that they are going to be making some sort of tool belt. So, yeah. I don't know when that's coming in, though. But I am excited for that because they need it. Yeah, it's really annoying having to swap stuff around. Like, they don't want to give us the ability to make macros to do that. Am I even using... Why does switching to... Huh. That's weird. No, it's strange switching to different stances. Fighter tank greater than Pally tank? Right now, yes. Paladin is not a good tank at the moment. The Paladin is the highest effective health tank because it has heals. It's got lay on hands. It's got Ancient Guardian. It can heal itself. It can bubble itself. It can do, a lot of different things. But the problem with the Paladin currently is it's very low DPS compared to the Shadow Knight and the Warrior or Fighter. So it's super low DPS. Why can I not pick this up? Jeez Louise, that's weird. Am I getting lag or what the heck's going on here? So yeah, it's not a great overall tank at the moment. It does a few things well. Like, if your healer can't keep up on heals, which right now every healer can keep up on heals because they made healing way too easy. They kind of overdid it with the balancing on it, with the scaling on the heals. So but if you have a situation where you don't have enough heals, they can't keep up, Paladin can be nice. Or if you're fighting a bunch of mobs that have a damage shield, Paladin can be nice because they can get rid of damage shields. Outside of that, though, Paladin is just not that great. It definitely needs some help. Is there a way to macro spell miming onto bars? To mim a spell, no. You can macro casting of a spell, but not memorizing them. But I need to stance swap as a fighter. Did I hear correctly? You do not need to stance swap as a fighter. It's not really necessary. I basically stay in offensive stance all the time. You can stance swap if you want to. And it's literally just this button right down here. It's control 1, 2, or 3, or you can just click on these different things right there, right over there. What about for undead content? Nah. They don't do anything special for undead right now. They might in the future. I suspect that the Paladin will be a very good undead tank because they're probably going to get smite type abilities. Like right now, the Cleric, when they just redid the Cleric, they gave it this proc. So they have a Holy Smite ability that it has. And it has a chance to proc additional damage and give you a buff and things. So if they do the same thing with the Paladin and give it this smite proc that it can cast on itself, it could be insanely powerful depending on how they do it. So the Paladin might end up being the best tank after the rework. It could also stay one of the worst. So we'll have to see. But yeah, the undead content right now, it's just Cleric's got a good undead nuke. But yeah, I've been testing Monster Memory about 3 weeks, and honestly, I don't think every class needs to be perfectly balanced. No, they don't need to be perfectly balanced at all. When I say balance, I don't mean perfectly balanced. What I mean when I say balance is you have 4 different things that every class can do. Well, technically 5. So you have tanking, healing, DPS, utility, and crowd control, or CC. Let's say you have 100% that you can do within those things. Every class has 100%. They can go 100% into one of those and 0% into the others. Or they can mix and match it, go 20% into all 5. Or they could go, 50% into 2, that kind of thing. That's what I mean on balance. So, like some tanks might be a better tank than another tank, but the other tank might have more utility, or it might have more healing, or it might have more utility CC or something like that, right? That's what I'm talking about when I say balance. I don't mean that every tank is equal, every DPS is equal damage wise, every healer is equal healing wise. I don't mean that at all. And that's it's something when we talk about balance that a lot of people don't realize what I mean when I say balance. What's the best and most loved DPS class in your opinion to get good group invites? Wizard? Wizard's like the worst group DPS right now, period. Right now, a Beastmaster is a really solid DPS, especially when you don't have a slower in your party. If you have a Wasp. Right now, we have this Wasp. So Sam is our Beastmaster in our group. He's got this Wasp pet. And that Wasp pet slows the party, or slows the mob that you're fighting. So that's really nice to have. And then the Enchanter or Shaman doesn't have to slow it. So that's a pretty solid one. The Spellblade is probably the highest effective DPS right now. Generally, for grouping, you're trying to get XP per hour, right? That's what most people want when they join a group. XP per hour is usually best when you have a melee heavy group. So the melee heavy classes like the Rogue or the Ranger or the Spellblade and the Beastmaster, those are all going to be sought after more so than a caster. Then you're going to have like Necromancer and Elementalist, which have pets. The main reason is because they have a melee pet, so they're constantly doing damage. The Wizard is probably the worst DPS for a group right now because it doesn't have the sustained damage that the other classes do. So that's the issue with it. Can a cleric solo? They can now for sure. Yeah, they made clerics with this new update. They made clerics a lot better at soloing. But should it be highly effective? I don't think so. Playing into your class's strength and relying on other parts of the social MMO, because ultimately the other players are the content. Yes, I agree with that. And that's what I'm trying to push for in with my feedback. Hang on one second. That's what I'm trying to push back or push for with my feedback is I want them to make this game what they've said they were going to do. I just want them to follow through with it. Make this game a social group-focused MMO. Right now, it is not that. It's not that, but it is not a social group-focused MMO. In fact, like solo and smaller groups are definitely the better way to go. So I should be fine with both? Yeah, good to hear. Rolling Necro or Fighter. Fighter will always be wanted because tanks are always going to be wanted at higher level. So any of the tanks is going to be fine. Fighter is a good choice for a tank. Necro is a very solo efficient class. It's nice to have in groups, but it's not the best class to have in groups, but it's okay. But they're very solo efficient, so you could just solo. Every time it says they have to nerf cleric fast due to certain proc. The proc is it's definitely overpowered. They didn't do a very good job with that proc. It basically, even at level 1, you get that proc and it procs for the same damage, it seems like, at level 1 as it does at level 60. So, yeah, very, very, very strong proc. It could do like 500 damage at very low level. So, yeah, it definitely needs to be tuned down. A lot of stuff in the game, unfortunately, needs to be tweaked as far as balancing is concerned. Cleric rework is nuts. Did some early levels of cleric and it's stupidly strong now. Yeah, it's very, very strong if you get those procs. Like if you get the piety proc, you get tons of mana. If you get the wrath proc, you get crazy auto attack speed and tons of strength. And if you get the retribution, I think is the name of it, or whatever the AO or the direct damage nuke thing is, it'll basically kill any enemy that you're fighting up to like level 15 or 20 or something like that if you get a proc. A little concerned about the server structure and performance for EA. What's your best guess at EA launch day numbers and best guess on server stability? What I think they're going to do, what I hope they're going to do for early access is have a lot of servers, but make them in clusters. So you'll have like 5 PvE no-box servers, right? East Coast PvE no-box servers. And let players join that and split up. I think they're going for like 1,000 to 2,000 concurrent players on each server. That means concurrent, for those that don't know, concurrent means online at the same time. They want to have something like 5,000 or so, 6,000 players per server total, and like 1,000 to 2,000 online at a time. And then they're going to roll out a new server. So what they'll have is like clusters of, PvE, East Coast, no box server, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let players go on them. Everybody knows that they're clusters. And then if those numbers start to drop, like the concurrent goes below, say, 500, then they could, they start to merge the servers together. That's the idea. So we'll see what they do with it, but that's the idea. Yeah, 8 wisdom. That's really good. Me use. Okay, Vor wants that. What does no box mean? So boxing is a thing that we did back in EverQuest, and they've done it in some other games. Boxing is where you can play more than one character. One player. I am playing like 2 or more characters. Whether it's on the same computer or separate computers doesn't matter. So it's they call it boxing because what it used to be is it's called 2 boxing, and you would have 2 accounts logged in on one computer and you would switch between them. So no boxing means one player, one character, and that's it. Yeah, multi-boxing. Yeah, and then no box is the opposite of multi-boxing. Did you juice Dex up for more procs? I'm not sure how the Cleric proc works, if Dex matters or not. I would assume that it does, but I don't know. I haven't messed around with it enough. I've got a level 58 Cleric that I have access to, and I played around with it some, and the procs are insanely strong. But if you stack Dex, I don't know if you get more procs or not. People have been kind of debating that on the forums and Discord and stuff, whether that actually works or not. Holy moly. This thunder is nuts right now. I just turned my monitors off. But only my monitors. It was really weird. It made my monitors flicker. But this thunder is nutso. Golly. So if I just disappear, it's probably because the storm knocked out all my computers here. So, just FYI. I'm in South Carolina. So the fighter will be the main tank for the physical wall. The paladin will probably be the wall against undead. Inquisitor will be magic wall. But what about the Shadow Knight tank then? I wouldn't really go that far with it. That is the idea, yes. That's not an incorrect thought process. But most likely what will end up happening is the fighter is just going to be the best overall tank. The reason for that is because they're the most physical defensive tank, and physical defense is the majority of the damage in the game. So when it comes to different types of monsters, they don't necessarily do different types of damage unless they're spellcasters versus non-spellcasters. The Inquisitor will be the better spellcaster tank because it can mitigate that spellcaster damage a little bit more. But in a raid situation, you can actually get the aura from the Inquisitor on a fighter. So the fighter will have the aura from that, and so they're going to be reducing the damage from the physical, and they're going to have the aura for the magical mitigation, and they're just going to be more of a buffer for the main tank. The only thing that the Inquisitor will be able to do that the fighter can't get would be the runes. So an Inquisitor will be able to cast a rune shield that prevents, well, it absorbs magical damage specifically. So that might be where an Inquisitor could taunt a raid mob, do their little rune shield thing, and then the fighter would taunt back off of the Inquisitor. That would probably be the best way to do it if you want to do some sort of tank swap. And they just, before they actually do their big magical effect, the Inquisitor would just grab it to absorb that damage. But you could also just have an enchanter put up a shield that prevents all damage for that, or a cleric put up a shield that prevents all damage for that. So there's other ways that you could handle that. So ultimately, the fighter will most likely end up being the best overall tank, period, for raid situations. I think that the paladin might be a good undead tank only because they're probably going to get some sort of undead damaging abilities like a smite, or maybe undead spells like undead nukes, so they might have a little bit more threat against an undead, but they're probably not going to do a thing where there's undead damage, right? And a paladin takes less damage from an undead enemy. They could do that, but I don't see that happening. So that's basically how that's probably going to work. The paladin, the main thing about a paladin is it's probably going to tank just as well as a fighter, wearing the same armor, so same armor class, same health pool, but the difference is going to be that a paladin will be able to heal themselves, whereas a fighter can't heal themselves. That's going to be your main difference between the two classes as far as tanking is concerned. The Shadow Knight, though, I'm not sure what they're going to do with the Shadow Knight, because right now a lot of the damage from the Shadow Knight comes from its pets. So maybe 30% of its damage probably comes from its pets, and that's why the Shadow Knight does really good damage. But unfortunately, because some of the damage comes from its pet, it doesn't get as much threat as a fighter would. So I think they're going to change the Shadow Knight, though, in the future, and they're going to make it they're probably going to make it the highest DPS tank, and probably just remove the pet is my guess. So it'll probably have the best overall threat of the different tanks is my guess. So, yeah, there you go. No storm in Savannah, Georgia, right? I have no idea if there's a storm in Savannah, Georgia. I'm in South Carolina, and there's a bad storm here. But Savannah's 2 hours or so from me, 2.5 hours from me. The deep dive does say dedicated pet is being cut out of Shadow Knight. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Like, so what I think is going to happen is they're not going to have a dedicated pet that they just have out all the time, like a Beastmaster or an Elementalist or a Necromancer. What I think that they might do is have temporary pets. When they kill an enemy, raise a temporary pet for 60 seconds off of the corpse, for example, and it can fight for you for the next 60 seconds. Or something like that. Maybe it'll fight for 10 seconds. I don't know. That's my guess of what they're going to do if they give it a pet at all. They may not give it a pet at all, but if they do, I think it'll be something like that. Cleric best class confirmed. Literally lightning bolts from the sky at level 1. Yeah, they're really good. They're really good right now. Okay, well, that could make very much sense. That SK would have the highest threat then. Yeah, I think they're going to have the highest DPS, highest threat. I think Fighter is going to have second highest DPS, so also second highest threat, but best overall tanking. The Inquisitor is going to have... Inquisitor and Paladin, I feel like, are going to be lower end on the tanking than than the Fighter is, like lower than that. Lower... I think we'll do one at a time. The Inquisitor, I think, is going to have lower DPS, lower tanking than the Fighter, but it'll have a lot more utility with crowd control and buffs and debuffs and those kind of things that it's going to do. And then the Paladin is going to have also lower... It's probably going to be similar to that of the tanking capabilities of like a Shadow Knight, maybe. I don't know. All three of the other tanks might be about equal tanking capabilities. But the Paladin is going to have the ability to heal and the lay on hands and that kind of stuff. So it's going to have lower DPS, lower threat, and slightly lower tanking than the Fighter will. But it's going to have all the other buffs and things that it can do and the other utility that it can do. So that's, I think, where they're going to be kind of landing on those classes. But again, it's all going to come down to tweaking the numbers and everything and seeing how everything lands, once the numbers are in. Because when they put it out on paper in these deep dives, they don't give you the cooldown. They don't give you the amount of damage. They don't give you... they don't give you any of the information. They just tell you what it's supposed to do. And if you don't have the information on those other things, it doesn't matter what it does. If it does it for 1 second, is it worth using? Like if it's got a 10-minute cooldown and it only lasts for 1 second, you're probably not going to put it on your bar. It's not really worth having. So we gotta see once they get these things in the game. The Paladin could absolutely end up being the highest threat tank if it gets something like proc heals or proc damage. It could get like an undead damage proc that does 100 damage on its auto attack, which is just going to make it insanely high damage compared to what a fighter can do. So we just have to wait and see what the numbers are and how they balance it. But I suspect where they're going to land on it is kind of what I was saying before. I think the fighter will still be the best overall main tank for the hardest enemies in the game, but the other three tanks will work. They will absolutely function. But what makes the fighter the best literally is this right here. This defense stance. So it gives them 5 defense, and it gives them 10% damage physical damage reduction. This is really the only thing that makes a fighter stand out over the other three tanks. In the class description of Shadow Knight, it says, can collect monster hunting abilities from past encounters. What's your thought on that? I think it's going to be kind of like a kill 50 ghouls and learn ghoul root. Something along those lines. That's my guess. Kill 1,000 enemies and learn how to feign death. Maybe something like that. It could be specific. That's a terrible item. Worst item in the game. Well, one of the worst. It could be something very specific, like you have to kill Ghoul to learn how to cast Ghoul Root. Or it could be kill any enemy and learn an ability from that. You know, like watching enemies die over and over and over allows you to learn how to pretend to die so you get Feign Death. I think it's going to be something along those lines that they're going to be getting. But, yeah, we don't really know. I don't think that their kit is going to change that much. Take away all the Necromancer skills and then add them back in through learning them by fighting monsters, I think is what's going to end up happening. Will you go for any specific trade skills in your fighter? I'll probably end up doing all of them, mostly because my group that I play with, they don't generally like to do trade skills. They want to kind of avoid that. They just like to play the game. So most likely I'll do all of the trade skills for my group. But if I do end up focusing on one, it'll most likely be alchemy and or enchanting. Like, because those are actually worth having. We go, let's see. Savannah gets passed a lot of times because it sits back while South Carolina, North Carolina stick out. I think it's the jet streams. It's the way that the jet streams work. Like where I used to live in Georgia, those storms, when my friends in Georgia get a really bad storm, usually 24 hours later, I get the exact same storm where I live. It just, or anywhere from 12 to 24 hours later, depending on how quickly everything's moving, because of the way the jet stream works in the U.S. It kind of just goes like that, and it swoops up the coast. Been reading about finding new recipes by experimenting with different combinations of materials. What are your thoughts? You can do that, but it's not. Don't try to do that with random, like, regular materials. Okay? Like, you're probably not going to find a new recipe by taking, cloth and gems and combining them together and making a jeweled cloth, right? That's not what they mean by that. The random recipes they're talking about are like spider silk. You can find spider silk and you can put it together to make spider silk thread. Those are the kind of things that are not in your recipe book, but you can make. There's also other things, like if you get these certain motes and certain, like, it's called veiled fabric. If you get like 3 veiled fabric and 2 motes and you put them together in a tailor's kit, you can make a specific item. So yeah, don't try to just like randomly combine stuff. You're probably wasting your time with that. Like if I were to open this up and grab like, a couple of linen scraps and throw in a piece of a gem and then a leather scrap, it's not going to randomly create something new. That most likely, right? It might, but I highly doubt it. It would be more like dropped items from enemies, special, unique dropped items from enemies. They're not unique, but special dropped items from enemies that you only can get on those enemies could potentially make certain things, like the spider silk is a good example. Like any spider silk in the game, take two of them, combine them in a tailoring kit, makes spider silk thread. And there's like 3 levels of that, I think. And then you can take the spider silk thread and combine that with some cloth to make a special item, like the spider silk hat or spider silk robe. I feel like they're wanting to hint at those kind of things from Quest 2, like the blacksmithing quest. Yeah, exactly. I think that's what they're trying to do, the same thing there. Yeah, there's like I assume, I'm not sure which one Mimi's talking about here, but there's a blacksmithing quest which you get the different pieces. You get like 3 or 4 key pieces, and then you combine them together to actually create a key. And it takes blacksmithing, like 100 in blacksmithing, to be able to actually make the key. Or whatever the skill level is. I don't remember. It's whatever it is. I wonder if they're going to do a boss crafted items, weapons. I would like to see that. Yeah, I would absolutely like to see that, where you go and you get like you kill a dragon and you get dragon's teeth and dragon scales or something, and you turn it into dragon scale armor or a dragon tooth dagger or something. That would be really nice. I would like to see that personally. I think it would be a fun way to do loot. That's helpful. Seems like there's a lot of random items that this could be used for. They usually say something in the description, so if you actually like hold down, it'll say like can be used. This is a trade skill item or something. It usually says something in the description. Not always. That's not a hard rule, but the veiled fabric and the motes that go with the veiled fabric, I think both of those say this is a trade skill component in the description. I feel like there's a weapon haft. People keep asking me what to combine with. It would be fun to be able to find the blade too. I thought the weapon haft would combine with the Soulbrand blade. Because they're both... Sorry, I was trying to do something that I decided to not do. I thought the weapon haft would go with the Soulbrand blade because they both come from or around Therms or whatever it's called, the family. There's a family tree up here in the Upper Salmon area. And they kind of, all of that stuff seems to be linked together, right? There's Miriam Therm, and there's like different NPCs that have the same last name. I thought all of those would be somehow linked, but I can't figure it out, Mimi. But the haft that they're talking about comes from here in Upper Salmon, and to my knowledge, it does not combine with anything. We have tried it out on so many different things and can't figure it out. So there's either it either doesn't combine with anything, or it does combine with something, but it's too vague to figure out, and the devs need to give us some sort of hint as to what to do with it. Like the Ring of Regret, I believe, is a wedding ring. And it was from one of those NPCs who regretted not giving it to or proposing to another one of the NPCs. I believe is the lore there. And the Ring of Regret comes from the same mob that drops the Soulbrand, which has no stats on it. It's a two-handed weapon for like fighter, Shadow Knight, Inquisitor or something, and it has no stats on it whatsoever, but it has a lot of lore in the description, and I think it had something to do with that. And then the haft drops off of Miriam. I think it's Miriam Therm or one of the mobs up here. Ring of Regret, a wedding ring. I think it is. Yeah, I think it's an engagement ring, and it's just called the Ring of Regret because they regret not doing it. I just assumed it was the Ring of Regret because I regret looting it. Yeah. I regret looting that too. I've looted a bunch of them and I disenchanted all of them. Well, no, I do have one Ring of Regret in my bank. Yeah, Ring of Regret is from Demeter. And then the sword I think is from the lady that spawns there. So it's kind of like, it's kind of interesting that Demeter has the Ring of Regret. Right? But the bride to be was the lady that is there. I don't know. I think there's some lore there that we just don't know. Like it's not out in the game yet. They haven't written it up and put it into a book or had NPCs say it or whatever. So I think I think that's what it is. I think it's all tied somehow, and it's probably some sort of weapon you can create, like a two-handed fiery Avenger kind of weapon, is my guess. You got the haft with a long wooden handle for a tool or a weapon. Weapons with hafts would be axes, pole axes, spears, lances, and pole arms. Not necessarily. You can have a haft on a sword. Isn't the haft just part of the crossguard? Anyway, I don't know. I have no idea. To my knowledge, there's nothing you can do with that haft. A lot of people have gotten it because it's very common. It's not very common, but it's a pretty common drop on that mob. So I have no clue what the plan is with that. It would be nice, though, if you could actually do something with it and turn that haft into a weapon of some sort. Again, I think it's one of those things that a dev probably started working on, then ran out of time or stopped working on it because they ran into a snag, and then forgot about it and just never went back to fix it. The reason I say that I think it's for something is because at one point they did an itemization pass. When they did the itemization pass, they adjusted the stats on the items that drop off of Demeter and the other mob that's over there. They literally adjusted those items specifically. But they didn't remove the soul blade at all from the game. Like, it's still there. It just doesn't do anything. It's just a really crappy weapon. It's kind of like this weapon right here. Why does this drop? Knight's Hopeful's Rondel. It has no stats on it. It's terrible. It's not terrible, but it's not a good damage delay. And it drops off of a named mob. So, like, there's probably something to this. Like, you have to use this dagger to kill somebody else, or go to a certain location and do something else, or whatever. But I just don't know. We bind them with the Ring of Regret. It makes sense. Yeah, it sounds good to me. No swords have hilts, not halves. Halves are specific for very long. Okay, so maybe that's what it is. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know what it's for. It might be a hilt. I thought it was a half, but it might be a hilt that drops. I honestly don't remember. How are fighter changes feeling? They're pretty good, Nielsen. They're not bad. Overall, the fighter is about the same, maybe a little bit stronger than it was before. I wish that they would do a little bit more with the fighter. Still, they need to lower its damage, which they didn't really do, and increase its threat, which they did do, sort of. And then give it a little bit more defensive capabilities. I think that the fighter needs to have like an automatic 5 or 10% more armor class. Just automatically. Or their defense stance should give them 10% more armor class. Along with the damage reduction. So not just the damage the physical damage reduction, but actual armor class. The reason I say that is because people are going to, I'm sure people are out there going, why? That's not fair. Blah, 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 blah. Why do they get more armor class? The Shadow Knight and the Inquisitor both have the shielding spell buff currently. They may get rid of this, by the way, because they haven't done the deep dives on them. But they both get a shielding buff, which gives them more health and armor class and magic resistance. That's a self-only buff. So, pound for pound, Inquisitors and Shadow Knights have more health, more armor class, and more magic resist than an equally geared fighter. Period. Just equally geared. They just have an ability that gives them more. The Paladin also has an armor class aura that gives them more armor class. So, in fact, the fighter has the lowest armor class of the 4 tanks. But its only job is tanking and damage. It doesn't really have the utility. So, seems kind of weird. But anyway, fighter is good, though. It's not bad. Graphics and animation look better. Yeah, they've definitely improved on them. Not to mention fighter SK. Yeah, Shadow Knight can lifesteal. Paladins can heal. All the other utility that they have as well. I'm just talking a pound for pound, like as far as mitigation goes. The they have more health and more armor class. The Paladin also has more health because they have cleric buffs currently. So we'll have to see what they do with the rework. Once the rework is in, if Inquisitors and if all the other 3 tanks have buffs that allow them to have more armor class and health than a fighter, then they need to make up for that somehow with the fighter. So we'll see. I'm still so torn on what to play EA launch. I think a lot of people are, because there's still 9 classes that haven't had their rework done yet. So it feels bad, man. It feels really bad. Hopefully soon. Had a lot of fun with Fighter, but also never made it to high level like you. Yeah, I mean, the Fighter's good. Fighter pretty much by level 15 had all of its abilities. And honestly, it hasn't changed much. It's changed a little bit, but it hasn't changed much. What they did do with it is they added in Shield Bash and Shield Block, which basically just means you have to swap your weapon, unfortunately. Like, you got to swap your shield in and then swap your shield back out is the best way to play it at the moment. What is best guess for when EA or when launch no wipe will hit? It's going to be October 1st. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me regarding percent damage reduction versus an armor class buff. Presumably, the damage reduction buff will be better. It's the same as the game ages. No, it will be. You're not wrong. It will be. But the damage reduction that you get is kind of it's not negated, but it's kind of negated by some of that armor class. So it's not really a 10% damage reduction. Right? Not to mention, I have to be in that stance. So for me as a fighter to be able to tank as well or better than a Paladin, Inquisitor, or Shadow Knight, you have to go into a defensive stance to do that. Whereas they don't have to do that. They just get a buff. So that's all I'm saying. Like, I get that the defensive stance of the fighter is still better. But, you know, it's not... arguably, their defensive stance is not that much better to go up against life taps and having a pet and having feign death and having heals and having buffs and having haste and having mez and having stuns and all of the other things that the other classes can do. Literally, the difference is a little bit of damage less. You know, slight amount of less damage, but not enough really to make up for the lack of all the utility. That's just my opinion. I mean, I don't think it's enough to make up for the lack of utility. Well, and it's also another thing you have to look at is the Paladin. I think the Paladin, Shadow Knight, and the Inquisitor all get a 5% damage reduction buff that they have up all the time. 100% uptime. So when you look at the fighter one, I have to choose this stance to get a 10% damage reduction. They don't have to choose a stance and always have 5%. So they have... So I choose defense, I get 5% more damage reduction. They don't have to choose anything, and they get more armor class and more health pool, and the ability to heal themselves, where 2 of the 3 classes, the ability to heal themselves when they take damage. So it just makes them overall better at tanking, depending on how you look at it. More effective health pool. So the thing is, though, it doesn't really matter because the deep dives aren't done yet for those 3 classes. So we'll have to see what they do with the deep dives. Monk would be number 1 for me if Lizards were coming, waiting to see Bard changes. Bard is not great right now. I can't wait to see Bard changes either. Monk is good. Monk does really good DPS right now. It seems to anyway. Seems to do good DPS. It's by far the best puller in the game. Yeah, it's just really good. I think I heard you say this before, maybe a misunderstanding. I think having all the tanks viable is a good thing and making them all a little bit better in different situations. That's kind of the idea. I still think that fighters are going to come out on top as the overall best tank. Once everything is done, once all the deep dives are done, everything's balanced properly, I think that the fighters will probably come in as the overall best tank, assuming you're in like a raid situation where you have access to everything, right? You have access to all the buffs in the game, you have access to all the debuffs in the game, you have access to everything. The fighter will be the best overall. But that'll probably mean that the fighter is the worst overall when it comes to general gameplay, like grouping, just like grouping and XP and solo play and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be the worst overall tank. What's going to make it the best is that it can receive all the buffs from everybody else in the game, and then it has a slight edge above the other 3 tanks. So very specific reasons. But maybe they're going to do something where certain tanks are going to be able to tank certain mobs, which they could do. If, for example, if they had like an elemental boss that instead of swinging physical damage, the elemental boss did elemental damage with every attack, like fire damage, then the Inquisitor would end up being the best tank for it because they can mitigate that elemental damage better than any other tank can. So they might do something like that with like specific bosses, which could make those the best tank in those specific situations. I think what would be a better way to do it, or a different way to do it, is making the different tanks better for like different scenarios where, let's say you go up against a big dragon boss. Big dragon boss spawns some, like it's a big fire dragon, and it spawns a bunch of fire whelps. And those fire whelps start doing a bunch of fire damage. So you have your Inquisitor off tank the fire whelps. Or you might have your Paladin off tank because the Paladin is self-sufficient. So the Paladin can go and off tank some big monster. It's not going to do much damage to it, but you don't want to damage the big monster. Like you have like a twin drakes kind of situation, right? You have one Drake that hits really hard and is the main thing that you put your fighter on as the main tank. The other Drake, though, if you do any damage to it, the more damage you do to it, it starts to AoE and wipe the raid. So you put a Paladin on it, and the Paladin kind of goes and tanks it off in the corner and self-sufficient and heals itself and keeps himself alive while you burn down the other boss. That's kind of what I think should happen. I don't know if they're going to do that or not, but I think that would be a better way to do it and make everybody feel special in their certain ways, you know? Sounds like a classic WoW warrior. Yeah, it kind of is, yeah. I'm tracking now and agree. Deep dives remains to be seen whether the utility versus moderately greater defense capabilities is worthwhile. Players will probably decide by what they choose to play. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's going to... there's going to be a big thing there. Like the utility of the Inquisitor and the Shadow Knight and the Paladin far exceeds anything that the fighter's going to bring to an XP group. It just far exceeds those things. But in an XP group, you want to have a class that can consistently hold threat on something, and a fighter definitely does that because the other classes will eventually run out of mana. Like, we're chain pulling right now, right? We are just absolutely blasting through enemies. I don't have time to sit down and meditate. So if I was, if I was playing a Shadow Knight, Paladin, or Inquisitor, I would eventually just run out of mana. And then I can't use those abilities anyway. So there's a factor there that you have to... There's a lot of different factors you have to factor in. A lot of different things. So we'll just have to see what they do. Good afternoon, Bard. How are you? I got it right that time. Glad you're still on. Rarely get to catch you when I work. Yeah, I actually I streamed from like 9-ish a.m. until 1 o'clock. We took a 1-hour break, and then I fired up the stream again. I was curious if people would come back, and they did, and I appreciate it. So we might do that going forward in the future where I stream, like in the mornings until the afternoon, take a break, and then fire up the stream again in the evenings or afternoons or evenings, depending on what's going on. We might stream all the way through sometimes. I don't know. But I was curious if we'd be able to get people back. We didn't get everybody back that was in here earlier. It was a pretty good stream this morning. I really appreciate everybody showing up and coming out and hanging out with us. It was awesome. Really good times. Definitely, though, during early access, I'll be on later. So, like it's 4:30 now. I'll probably be on most days until, like, the evening time. I wouldn't hate is fighter the kind of good at all. Excel. Any defenses, your strength is maybe pull the most threat, so your DPS can pump. Well, yeah, I think that the Shadow Knight is going to be the better DPS, which is going to be a big factor in having the Shadow Knight be like in groups and stuff, because they're just going to be able to pull more threat. So it's just going to be easier for them. I mean, I'm not having really any issues right now holding threat. So the fighter DPS and threat currently is okay. But if I was equal level to everyone in the party, like to the DPS in the party, well, this DPS is a Beastmaster, so they're not doing as much threat on just themselves. They're kind of splitting their threat between their beast and themselves. But yeah, against like a Spellblade, they pull threat from me a lot. Like, I have to work to hold threat against a Spellblade. So yeah, SK can pull more threat. Not right now, no. They do a little bit more DPS because of their pet added to it, but since their pet is part of their DPS and threat, then no, they don't necessarily pull more threat. But they do overall more DPS, in my opinion, than a fighter does currently. So I think they're going, when they take away the pet from the Shadow Knight with the deep dive, I think that they're going to have to increase the amount of damage that the Shadow Knight does. I also think they should decrease the amount of damage that the fighter currently does. They should just take away the fighter's triple attack and crit. That would be one way to do it. It wouldn't be a huge factor in their overall DPS, but it would lower their DPS some. That would be the first thing that I would do, is take away their triple attack and crit, and then increase their threat through other means. Like, I think that their defensive stance should give them 10% more threat all the time. But, you know, that's just me. They do say in the class page that Shadow Knight prefer two-handed weapons and can use shields if they have to. Looking forward to it. Yeah, I think that's a good way to go, right? Hopefully they give them more two-handed weapon abilities. They gave fighters one two-handed weapon ability called Cleave. I haven't used it yet, personally, but I don't really want to use it because I'm grouping up with an enchanter. If the enchanter mezzes mobs and I cleave, I'm just going to break the mez. So you don't really want to use AoE spells in a group. Or AoE abilities. But hopefully, yeah, the Shadow Knight gets like some big two-handed abilities. Kind of like Chop for the Beastmaster. The Chop ability that uses two-handed weapons is by far the better ability than using Maul DPS-wise. When it comes to raids, I feel like Inquisitor's Mana Burn and Pally damage shield dispelling, etc. Might be extremely useful. Yes, but you can use those outside of being the tank. Right? So that is true. You are not wrong. But they don't have to be the main tank to do that. And I think that that's part of what they're going to do. You know, they're going to excel at that side of things. They're not going to excel at being the main tank, but they're going to be able to debuff the mob, remove damage shields, mana drain them, stun them, debuff them, whatever, all of those things. So you're going to still want to have them. How would you recommend someone put their starting attribute points when creating a dwarf fighter? Agility right now. I would say put all points into agility, and then if you have any left over, stamina. I did the opposite of that. I capped out stamina, and I think I had 2 points left over to put into agility on this fighter. If I went back to redo it, I would do the opposite of that. I would max out agility and then put the last 2 into stamina. How do you know what's good and what not without a meter? It's mostly feels. Just feels and playing the game and trying different combinations out. Mostly. Hey, what's going on, Quick Respawn? How you doing, bud? Is the pet going away from Shaman? Probably, but I don't know. It might. Stopwatch? Yeah, you could try a stopwatch. That's how people generally do like a DPS check. You use a stopwatch, kill a mob, and do that 10 times, and then switch something up, use a stopwatch, kill the same type of mob 10 times, get the average kill rate, average health at the end of each fight, write all that down, and then see what your which one is better. Like I did a little mini test with the fighter when they first did the fighter rework, and I tried to solo a mob with a shield on, and then I soloed the same type of mob with dual wield, and I tried both of those out, and overall dual wielding was better. I ended up with more health. I killed the mob faster, with dual wield than I did with a shield. So I didn't feel like using a shield was beneficial because I just killed the mob slower, which means I ended up taking more damage. I took less damage on a per swing basis, so probably be easier to heal for a long drawn out fight. And in a group situation, that might change some things because you're not doing the most damage, other people are. But like soloing as a fighter, you want to still dual wield. It's just better. I hope the pets go away. I do too. Yeah, I want the pets to go away, but yeah. The class page was says shaman losing all animal forms and summons. Yeah, I think that's their plan, is to get rid of all of them. Like Beastmaster, Elementalist, and Necromancer, 3 classes that have pets. Cool, that's good. And then Enchanter. So technically 4 classes are still going to have pets. Not including Charm. And I think that's plenty. I think once anything less than 2, so 1, if 1 class has an ability, you need to give another class a similar type of ability. This is like for utility type stuff or whatever. But then when you get classes that have more, when you have more than 4 classes that have the same type of ability, like pets, that starts to feel bad as well, because then it's not unique or specific or exclusive or anything like that. Then it feels like, oh, I'm just the same as another class. So, yeah, 4 is too many. When I say 1, though, the Paladin right now, for example, has the ability to remove damage shields. 1 cast of a spell removes the damage shield. I think at least 1 more class needs to have that ability. I would prefer 2 or 3 more classes have that ability to remove a damage shield, not purge, because I'm sure somebody's thinking right now, oh, you could purge. Purge doesn't do the same thing. It will remove the damage shield, but you generally have to cast it a lot more times to remove the damage shield. And by the time you cast it and remove all the other buffs, the mob's probably already dead. Because it's a 12-second recast. How is the Ranger right now in a group situation? Useful, not really. Ranger's good right now because it's got a lot of utility. It's got decent damage. But the deep dive hasn't been done on Ranger yet, so it could drastically change. So I wouldn't really base too much on it right now. Ranger can kite tank effectively and do solid damage from what I've seen. They can, yeah. Yeah, they're a pretty solid class at the moment. But part of the reason they're a solid class is because they have all the druid spells. Albeit lower level druid spells, but they basically get all of the utility that the druid has outside of teleports. So they have all of the other utilities. Snares and damage shield and armor and speed of the wild. All of that stuff. Which is partly what makes the druid so attractive, is all of its utility that it can do, or that it has access to. So it'll probably change to be different. It's gonna be very different, yeah. The Ranger is gonna lose all of its druid spells. They're making hybrids no longer hybrids. They're not gonna be 2 parent classes put together into one. They're gonna be unique individual classes, which is something that I was saying from the very beginning that they should probably do, because there was too much homogenization between the classes. You had too many classes that could do too many of the same things, and they continued to make it worse and worse and worse. Every time they did an update and added more things, it was like, you're doing it again. They just kept like making all the classes the same. All right, we got 2 minutes on that buff. I think the Ranger Deep Dive may take some Druid utility away. It's going to take all of the Druid spells away. They're going to have their own unique spells and abilities. So I think they're going to still have, like, Snare, for example. But it's not going to be just the ability called Snare. I think it's going to be like a utility thing that they have to craft. Kind of like rogues right now with their poisons and archers with their their tinkering. I think it's going to end up being something like that. More on the survival skill side, yeah. So what they're going to do, from my understanding, what they're going to do with Ranger is Rangers can forage right now. And the only things you can forage is grubs and, I don't know, some weed or something. And then, like, some food. That's the only thing you can currently forage. So I think they're going to add more things that they can forage, that the Ranger can forage, and then those are going to be like specifically for crafting. So they're going to forage items and then turn those items into other items. That's my guess. And probably use survival to do that. Forage a lot of carrots. Yeah, the carrots is what you can forage for food. From the deep dive, to me sounds like Aragorn style. Yeah, like that's the difference when somebody asks like the difference between a ranger and archer. It's Aragorn versus Legolas. That's literally the best example that I can give you. Legolas is amazing with a bow and does all sorts of, like can move around and kind of hide and pop out of the shadows and shoot you right in the face with an arrow. Aragorn can fire an arrow pretty decently, but can also use like a sword and use it pretty well. Man, I'm sleepy. I don't know why I'm sleepy. I slept well last night. Burrito baby digesting? Maybe. Could be that. Be interesting if can enhance the campfire to recover mana, health, or provide extra passive buffs. They're talking about doing that with the ranger, possibly even the shaman. So yeah. Ranger is supposed to give increased campfire duration, yeah. Can't remember what game it was, but campfires acted as party summoning stones, and you could port your friends to fire. Love that. That would be nice if they did something like that, sure. They don't seem to want that capability in this game, though. That's EQ if they are part of your fellowship. 3 for a fire, though. EQ does that? I thought they just had like a summoning ability in EverQuest. The Call of a Hero. Did they add that campfire thing? Heirloom battle boots. Well, boy, those look terrible. I guess shaman boots, maybe. Also has it for guild flags. You can drop to summon your guild to a raid boss. Takes 12 to drop the flag. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I feel like the devs in this game are trying to get away from that kind of stuff. Like, I'm all for having some ability to be able to summon new players like to your groups and stuff, like using the campfire to summon a player to you or something like that. They could even make it an item that you have to buy in town. It's for like a good money sink kind of thing. For somebody coming back to beta after 6 months, I play Inquisitor. Anything major to know? The Inquisitor deep dive is one of the next that's going to be happening, so that class could be changing drastically in the next few weeks. Could be very big changes coming to that class in the next few weeks. Could Necker still solo? Yes. Yes, they're still amazing. Have you heard any loose dates for Deep to come out? Yeah, like in the next week or two. We're supposed to be getting the Deep. We may also get raids, maybe this week or next week. We may also get Fallen Watch very soon. Inquisitor deep dive deleted. Yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and delete the Inquisitor, and now Enchanter's tank with a pet. Game over. My SK Enchanter will be Deep Elves. Nice. Oh, whoops. Looks like we might be getting, for those that were asking earlier, we might be getting a few invites from the devs to give out to you all. So we'll figure that out probably tomorrow. I'm definitely going to do one tomorrow, for sure. We might have more. I just heard from one of the devs. So. Oh, is my sense heading's got to be maxed at this point, right? Yeah, 100 out of 100 sense heading. Does that mean it's guaranteed to happen every time now? Guaranteed to know which direction I'm facing? Means you have a 25% chance to know things, so it maintains friction. You got a 25% chance to know the direction you're facing, and a 75% chance that it tells you a different direction. So, in fact, sense heading does nothing. It's a 25% chance of telling you one of the 4 directions. I max mine for my level, and it tells me the direction each time now. Awesome. Mine was definitely still failing sometimes, not very often. But mine's at 100 now. So I imagine it's just 100%. It always tells me. Yeah, it's saying it right here. You're facing southeast. You're facing southeast. You're facing southeast. You're facing south. You're facing south again. So we'll see. I don't think it fails anymore. Still facing south. Invite you, Joseph? We might. It depends on. Let me see how many I get from the devs to be able to give out to you guys. If we do it, it'll be tomorrow for sure. And then, depending on how many we get, we might do it a couple times throughout the week. Have trade skills been updated at all in the last 6 months? A little bit. Yeah, they actually just did cooking. They just added some things in for cooking just a couple days ago, and a couple new recipes for alchemy just a couple days ago. It hasn't been major overhauls or anything like that, but a few things here and there. Fishing now functions better, but still not finished. They changed jewel crafting stats. So they didn't they didn't change the recipes on there, like the functionality of the crafting, but they nerfed the crap out of the jewelry. So like jewelry used to have 2 stats on it and some armor class. Now it only has 1 stat. So They did change tanning. Yeah, they changed tanning as well. So yeah, now tanning no longer gives you scraps, and it requires more materials, and it has tiers to it, and it gives you canvas instead. So it used to give you like one hide would give you 24 scraps, and then you could turn those scraps into whatever you wanted. Now it gives you one hide, turns into some canvas, but it requires like wood and resin and limestone and some other things. Does it seem like they put in the discoverable jewelry recipes that were supposed to compensate for that change? I don't know about that. That would be a that would be something else. But yeah, they need to do something with it for sure. Here's the shield. They changed the name of it. That shield needs to have haste on it, or more stats on it, I think. Let's talk deities. I usually pick agnostic, but are there any benefit to the others? Right now, there's zero benefit to deity. Right now. But they are going to be adding in some benefits later. You're probably going to want to choose a deity. Agnostic might also get special things with it as well. So we'll have to see what they do with it. But the idea is that once you have a deity, right? So you go to faith here. So I've got Master War, which is the god of death. You're going to be able to, like this XP bar right here, go up to different tiers of the deity. And then it says granted boons. And you're going to get like different boons or buffs types of things that you get for having those deities. You might also be able to buy certain items using your devotion. So like you could spend devotion to buy a god of death sword, or breastplate of death, or whatever, and it's going to have certain stats on it and things. So that's the idea of it. Right now it does nothing, but in the future, once they start adding in factions, it will do something. And that's going to be more of like a probably like an end game kind of thing. Something that like high level players are going to focus on and work towards. You're going to be able to like tithe, give money to those gods, find different temples and donate money to them, or give them items or whatever. Kill certain monster types to increase your faction, all of that kind of stuff. And then you're going to get those boons, which could be a lot of different things. It could be like a boon that gives you more wisdom, or could give you more of like one of your stats, or it could give you more damage, or larger health pool, or mana pool, or those are just some examples, easy examples. It could also do other things. It might give you like an ability that you can use periodically. Could be a lot. That's going to be fun. Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. Almost always pick Altindra. Yeah, she's the goddess of nature or something, I think, isn't she? Like the idea of nomad thing? Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like that, I like their idea of what they're trying to do with it. We'll just have to see how it plays out. Hopefully they don't make like one the clear winner over all of the others. But I imagine that following certain gods will be better for certain classes or roles. So like tanks will probably want to have, there's probably going to be like, you know, 1 or 2 really good gods for a tank, 1 or 2 really good ones for a healer, that kind of thing. What? Oh, yeah, I got a couple onions today. Not many, though. Need October to hurry up? I know. It's always weird in life, right? We always want things to hurry up and get here. But then when you look back on things, you're like, man, I wish life would slow down. That's how I am every day. Like, man, I really want this thing to happen. I really want, you know, such and such, whatever. And then I look back and I'm like, where did the time go? Like, my son is 12. He's going to be 13 in a couple months. And I'm like, dude. Like, what? What is happening? So ready to lock in, keep my character. Me too. Me too. You don't know it's the good old days till they're gone? Absolutely, man. Like right now, we got to think about it. Right now are the good old days. In 20 years from now, we're going to be like, man, those good old days. Right? Think about it. Like, savor the moment. Enjoy it while you can. Because it'll be gone before you know it. I'm trying to be better at that now. I don't do a very good job of it, but I'm trying to be better at that. What main stat should you put points into for Shadow Knight? If you're going to be tanking on your Shadow Knight, which is their main role, agility. So I would max out agility and then secondary put into stamina. That's my recommendation. Strength and dexterity are also good. Intelligence is okay. Wisdom is pointless and charisma is pointless. Pre-WoW EverQuest was good old days, sir. I mean, those were good old days for sure, yeah. I haven't been able to figure out what skill ability is that randomly gives me piety, granting mana regen for 30 seconds. When you use your holy strike, you have a chance of getting piety. I think there's also when you're meditating, I think you have a chance of gaining piety. Other than that, I don't know what you can use to gain piety. The only things I've seen it happen on were is holy strike. So when you're meleeing. Would like to see the deities tied tightly to faction race class combos. That'd be cool too. Yeah, yeah. I think the deities though, like starting deities, could be that way, but you're going to be able to choose or change your deity as much as you want. I'm always on. And I think Isar's on more than I am, so. Can I get a sow before we leave? Benefit wise, yeah, like it'd be cool. We'll see how it goes. Thank you much. Not enough to keep unique combos from being chosen. Yeah, like that's kind of a balance that they have to figure out. Is like how do they balance different traits, different classes, different deities? How do they balance all of that to where they all of them are chosen, but they all feel special, right? Like you got to make it to where all of them have good things that they can do. Where you still have a little bit of a meta there, but not overpowered, and everybody still wants to choose different ones, you know? There's always going to be a meta, though. There will always be a meta. All right, let's go ahead and sort that out. Let's see. Tailoring, we're going to do bolts. Make the bolts. Boink. $228, $229. I think one more skill up, and this will go green. Oh my gosh, I didn't get it. What the heck? Oh, wait. Garlic and onions still have the same graphic. I didn't notice that. I just now noticed that. Let's see. All right, we can disenchant this. Give me a skill up. Come on. Dagnabbit. Not getting any skill ups. I have all these padded leather canvas. I want to try to make the padded leather backpacks. But I think I need to get a couple more skill points to do that. Big bummer, dude. Alrighty. Well. I think I'm gonna call it there for today. It's been a really good day, and I kind of want to end on a high note and end, you know, feeling good about life and feeling good about things. We've had a really solid day on stream and a solid day in game. It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate everybody coming by. I'll be back on here tomorrow morning around 9 a.m. We're going to be doing a couple of giveaways for Access. So Access giveaways tomorrow. Hopefully I get a couple extra ones from the devs. I did reach out to them. They did respond, and it looks like I'm going to get a couple. So I'm going to try to give some of those away. Depending on how many I get, we'll do 1 or 2 tomorrow morning, and then may do some more throughout the week. We'll figure it out. So that is going to be what we are doing. And yeah. So thank you so much for being here. Do appreciate it. And hopefully I see you all tomorrow. Bye.